jumping right in today, we're talking about Cuomo being removed from office and the significance of that since that removal. And the significance seems to be niet, because he has not been
coming through with the Russian. I saw that. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
And, it's strange because if you're going to, pronounce to the world that the man has done assaulted, a dozen women, you would think something would have come of that after you removed him from his job and humiliated him. And I'm not saying the guy didn't do it. Maybe he did. I wasn't there. I'm just saying, what was the point of all that for nothing to have happened since? So that's why I'm claiming it appears to be political, because it's not criminal. No one's arrested him. And it doesn't seem to be moving in that direction. It just seems to be an opportunity and a tool with which to have gotten him out of the role. And now we have Governor Hochul. Haven't heard tremendously good or bad things about her, to tell you the truth, but someone's already running against her in the election. I'm blanking on his name right now. So, we'll see where this goes. New York right now seems to be the antithesis to Florida, which seems to be turning into the Handmaid's Tale overnight. I mean, really? You can't say gay in a classroom?
Nope.
Am I hearing right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, gay means happy. So you're telling me there is now a word in the dictionary that I am not allowed to say because another human told me I can't say it, even though I'm my own free human and I'm living on a planet that belongs to all of us. And we also happen to have a constitution in this country that your side of the aisle seems to be claiming is all about free speech. It's free speech unless you say gay.
Sounds about right.
The hypocrisy and the schizophrenia is absurd.
Mm-hmm.
Absurd.
You can't even sing that I Feel Pretty song. I feel pretty and witty and gay.
Right.
You're fired.
You're fired. You said the word. What? But bro, what is going on with San Francisco with the recall of those school board members? One of whom I know.
Oh, you know one of them?
Yeah, she did the vagina monologues.
Oh, I remember when you were in that.
Yes, when I did that with the Filipino Women's Network. If you're not familiar with that, there's a Filipino women's group that has committed itself to the safety of women. We can do an episode on that, on Marilyn Montague, that started the Filipino Women's Network, and they had put on an ensemble production of the vagina monologues, which I was able to participate in. And one of the school board members who has been recalled in the last few weeks in San Francisco of this year was in that production. And I'm here to tell you, she is a lovely and extremely intelligent woman. What are your thoughts on what happened, being that you are currently residing there?
First of all, that production of Vagina Monologues is taking me back. That was dope. I remember it. And if you wanted to be an actor, you could fucking crush it. Anyway, the school board recall is part of people voicing overall frustration with the way things have been going here. We also recalled our DA. Now,
okay, I didn't hear that. I didn't know that. Who's the DA?
Chesa Boudin.
Oh, tell us more about that.
He's very far left. He's not just like defund the police. Like his supporters are like abolish the police. And
not practical, but I understand the sentiment. But
right,
go on.
Right, and especially when you're frustrated after George Floyd, and everything, I definitely understand the sentiment. And so here's the thing: this guy got into office in a off cycle election. He got elected in 2019. Okay, when I say off cycle, I mean no presidential election, no midterm election. Okay, so what does that mean? That means in a city of almost 3 million people, he got elected with just 50,000 votes. Okay. So first of all, people already didn't feel like this is the guy that we put in. He's so far left. Nancy Pelosi didn't endorse him, and London Breed didn't endorse him, and Dianne Feinstein didn't endorse him.
I'm not surprised about Feinstein. I'm not surprised about Pelosi. I am surprised about London Breed.
But you could, the counter argument to that is the Democratic Party machine.
Right.
Okay. But the point is, he wasn't their guy, but he won anyway with 50,000 votes.
Okay.
He comes in and he ran on a platform of no longer prosecuting quality of life crimes. Well, what is that? Well, it was like, all right, well, we're not going to fill up the jails.
Petty theft, right? The CVS petty theft, smash and grabs. But the problem is now people are doing it.
Yeah, now people are doing it. And also quality of life is a term that you can say, oh, it just means like people pissing on the street and shit. Because we don't want to fill the prisons with that. And I get that, right? But then it's very easy to stretch that. And so people are tired, crime is up. Car break-ins are up, thefts are up, robberies, like, actual like forcibly robbing people, that's up. Everything is up.
That's awful. That's just awful.
And it's gotten to the point where literally like people don't even report shit, especially if you're like a CVS or something, and people are literally just grabbing shit and walking out, walking in with a duffel bag, filling it up and walking out like, fuck you.
Yeah, with a duffel bag.
Yeah, straight up. They'll park a bike, they'll walk in with the bike, set it down, take whatever they want and leave.
With a duffel bag, just sweeping stuff off the counter.
Because even if they have a security guard, the security guard is not allowed to forcibly stop the person because they could sue them if they get injured.
Right. Nor is the security guard trying to get beaten up.
Right. And then we have a law for all of California where if it's less than $950, then it's still a misdemeanor. And then so what happened, especially with the stores, if they report this, then their insurance costs go up.
Right. So it's not worth it. So it's a lose-lose situation for the store.
Situation. And then also he lets them right out of jail. So there are several stores that are either considering shutting down or have shut down. They're saying it's because of retail theft. And then people on the far left are saying, you're just a corporate you know what I mean? Yeah, it's really about something else. And no, they're saying like, look, we're shutting down because like we have too much theft. Well, you have insurance. Yeah, but our insurance costs keep going up because we're reporting the thefts and shit. And then Chesa Boudin is letting them all out of jail, immediately because, we also got rid of bail.
But going back to the San Francisco recall, do you support the recall? Yes,
and here's why. And really? I will say first and foremost, I am totally, I totally understand the fact that these folks are just kind of scapegoats for people that are angry with the overall status quo and parents that are angry that like the schools are still closed. You three just happen to be the ones that were up for re-election. And so y'all three just happen to be the ones. I am totally sensitive.
Were those three the only three up for re-election?
Yes, they're the only ones that were up for re-election soon. So they were like, okay, we're going to recall them. They didn't recall the entire school board.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Why those three?
Yeah, so they were up for re-election.
So if there was 6 of them up for election, you think all 6 would have been recalled?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This wasn't a close vote at all. It was
a blowout. It was like 70-something% voted for the recall. I was shocked to see those numbers.
90,000 people, at least every single one of them received 90,000 recall votes.
I was very surprised
of the recall. All 3 of them.
I was very surprised at those numbers.
Right. So here's the thing. The board was in lockstep. Now, these 3 had actually been like speaking out and trying to get the board to operate better, then they would have had a better chance in not getting recalled. But the board was all in agreement with the approach to how they handled COVID, and how they handled COVID was pretty bad. The governor, who, isn't perfect, but the governor is like, hey, all the school districts should work on a plan to reopen and submit, have a plan ready by this. He didn't say you had to reopen. He said, have a plan. They blew past that deadline, didn't even work on actually having a plan to reopen the schools. And then on top of that, they spent their time renaming schools. They wanted to rename more than 40 schools in San Francisco. Now,
why is that a problem? Why was that problematic for the city?
Because these schools are already named after people that are beloved in San Francisco, and they're not like Robert E. Lee or slave owners or shit like that. These are people that are already, on the right side of history for the most part. They wanted to rename a school that was named after Abraham Lincoln. Was Abraham Lincoln perfect? No. But to come in here and be like, Abraham Lincoln isn't good enough for us, like, do you see how that's going to piss off some people that aren't as far left as you? Especially
let's start a little lower on the totem pole on that one, right? Like, let's not start with like Lincoln. I think there are bigger fish we can fry. I'm not saying you can't get to him in 100 years. I mean, if that's where cancel culture is going, then I guess we're all getting canceled, including him. But I wouldn't start there. And I think that's what's discoloring or making distasteful what people think progressives are.
People like progressive policies, but they can't stand the loudest progressives.
They appear out of touch equally to those who are extreme neo-Christians in this country. No one cares that you believe that more than the point that there seems to be a disconnect with you and the human species in the way you're delivering that message. Like, we all want a healthy earth, but there's something about the way you present it that sounds fucking stupid. Right? Or there's something, like, I get this, but there's something about the way you present it that makes it sound like you're insane. So there needs to be a balance. And so what I'm hearing you say, it sounds like where they were starting, while that might have been important, it shouldn't have been on the top 10 of list of things for them to do in the midst of COVID, when schools were open, not open, starting opening, closing, all of that. To start with, let's get rid of Abraham Lincoln off this school. I could see how that wasn't going to be the agreed upon starting point.
Right. Especially when you're saying you're doing this in the name of anti-racism, when like, okay, because you want to help Black and brown parents and families in general. Great. The best thing to do to help these Black and brown working class folks is to work on getting these schools open in a safe manner so that they don't have to pay for like daycare or nannies or, you know, try to get different shifts at work. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the thing that would help them the most, not renaming.
This has been the hardest on parents, right? Like if you're a 2-income home and now your kids aren't going to school and you have children that need adults around, you know, I don't think everybody, when I hear a lot of the argument, people aren't going back to work. I'm like, it's not just that they're not going back to work. It's that their life has changed. And it didn't flip back, right? Like it's not a switch. People's lives changed, jobs changed, people moved locations. People ran into houses they probably don't even like right now. You know, they're working remotely. Maybe they hate that. Maybe they're home with kids. Maybe that wasn't the plan. Maybe they're home all day with their partner. They didn't want to be at home all day with their partner. Maybe part of the reason they got along is because they weren't together. Life has changed for people. Mm-hmm. And I think it's reductive and pretty lazy to just write off everything to, well, people just don't want to go back to work. I'm like, well, I think it's more that people's lives have changed.
Yeah.
And if schools are open, closed, 1 week on, 1 week off, how can 2 people work a steady 9 to 6, especially at companies that are pushing for people to come back 5 days? Like this just isn't practical. Mm-hmm. And at what point are we going to do what makes sense for people rather than just like trying to like pistol whip everybody to going back to work so that the economy can come back? I mean, they're pushing forward in New York. Allegedly, the new mayor had a meeting with the CEOs and has said to them, you need to encourage your workers to come back to the office. And I think everybody agrees at this point, a hybrid schedule is the best schedule, but that 5-day-a-week commute shit is out. I mean, and once you've had a taste of freedom, who the fuck wants to go back? Nobody, right? Nobody wants to commute 5 days a week anymore if you can not do that at all, or just do that 1 or 2 days. So at least you get a little stimulation, a little team building, get a little change of pace for people who are into that. A lot of people don't like to be home alone. Mm-hmm. I don't mind being alone at all. So, this type of stuff doesn't faze me. Other things affect my mental state. Being alone is not one of them. But I do understand how people want to go out and drive. It's nice to just get that city energy. And you want to see like bars and restaurants and art and music. You want that to come back. I think it's slowly starting to come back in New York, but by no means at full throttle. But I mean, just to encourage everybody, CEOs to make people go back to work just to get the economy going because the restaurants need the business. Like people's lives have changed. Mm-hmm. When are we going to look at things at a more evolved and holistic standpoint than just the dollar? Yeah, the dollar matters. We all know that. Lord knows that message has been drummed into our heads since we came out of the womb. But Jesus Christ, life has changed. Can we take a step back and acknowledge that and act accordingly? Mm-hmm. As a society and individually. Guess what? Living in such close proximity in cities that you and I are in, there are going to be times we have to compromise things we personally want because we're in a city. If you don't like that, move to Wyoming.
Word.
But don't stay here and complain about it. It's a different demographic. It's a different type of place than a place that has wider space and open roads. If that's where you want to be and you want to not wear a mask, by all means, go there. But don't torture everybody here. Not wearing it or wearing it. Like sometimes you just have to think about things from a different standpoint.
It's right there. The American West. Have fun.
Right. Knock yourself out. Grab your horse and your whip. You're really on this.
Dude, yeah. Like, and a lot of these places understand, especially if you're dealing with knowledge workers, smart, competent professionals that have options. They'll leave your company before you force them to go back to commuting into the office every day. They'll just go work somewhere else.
Nobody wants to commute 5 days a week.
I need a laptop, bitch. If I want to have my feet in the fucking sand, I'll go do that. You know what I mean? Like, you remember Bobby Albright? He and his fiance are in motherfucking Colombia right now. They have a goal of living in five countries this year, and they're just working from home.
Awesome.
What you gonna do? You're gonna just force these people to come back so that the MTA can keep getting the money that they were getting every day, and so the restaurants got Uber Eats. Now the thing is, Uber is like taking a giant chunk out of that shit, so the restaurants got to raise their prices and shit. That's kind of fucked up.
Right. But you know what? That's what we as a capitalist country say we signed up for. So when prices go up, don't complain.
These are also true.
And if you don't like it, then don't argue with the people who are trying to change that system for a different system, even if it's a system you don't like. Either figure out a new system yourself, you fucking wizard, or go with one of the options that's on the table. What else is there?
Mm-hmm.
None of these options are perfect, but it's better than sitting here and just complaining about this while still knowingly and willingly participating in it every day.
Yeah, because that's just annoying. I can't stand people. You're going to complain about something, but you're a willing participant in it all day, every day.
Right. Don't complain about restaurants closing down. Then go order some food.
Yeah. What are you doing to support them?
Right.